Well, hello everyone. It's Sibyl Star, and I'm here to give the full moon in Gemini report. The full moon is occurring on December 7th at 8:08 p.m. Pacific. And I don't always do a full moon report, but this is a particularly potent full moon. And I feel like there's a lot of really good information and guidance for us in it. So, anyway, the moon is at 16 degrees of Gemini and is very tightly conjunct Mars at 16 degrees of Gemini as well. And is opposite the sun in Sagittarius. We know the full moon, there's always an opposition between the sun and the moon because the moon has no light of her own. And so the light of the moon is actually a reflection of the sun. So it really is the Gemini Sagittarius axis that is in play here. Now, the moon, represents, our emotional body, our feelings. And that's why at a full moon, we're often a lot more gregarious. We want to connect with people. And it sheds light on the seed that was planted at the new moon. And the new moon was so much about new moon in Sagittarius was so much about a change in perspective and miracles and a field of infinite possibility. And the full moon, I believe, is showing us just some more about that. And so Mars, of course, is the planet of action, is the warrior, is about our direction in life. But the thing is, Mars wants to take action. But Mars in Gemini is very much about communication and speaking. But the fact that they're of the same degree gives them more power. So there is the potential to use words as weapons. And it could be very impulsive, it could come out fast. Whereas, Mars is still retrograde, and Mars retrograde really asks us to take a pause, to think before we speak and think before we act. And so I think that's really important. Um, but there's also more that is coming about that. Gemini is the sign of the heretic. And the heretic asks us to question everything. There are no sacred cows. Okay. And to be open to new ideas and perspectives. Whereas the sun in Sagittarius is very much about our beliefs. So I feel like it is saying here to challenge our beliefs so that we can be open to the new consciousness, the new awareness, the new ideas that are coming in, and to not have that foundation of what we believe is true or not true, because we are moving into a field where that it is new territory in the realm of consciousness, because the sun is also what is called the Great Attractor. It's lined up. And the Great Attractor, we're learning about these different mysterious places in our galaxy. And the Great Attractor is one. It is a huge cosmic point that they say is exuding a huge amount of ultraviolet light and and this ultraviolet light is pouring into our galaxy, and that it is also an energy that seems to bend light. And it's to me, what it's saying is that it's an energetic upgrade and a recalibration. At the eclipses, both eclipses, there was a purging, there was a clearing of the field. And so so the energy, a lot of the old emotional psychic goo that we've been carrying around has been lifted, and then in comes this really intense cosmic higher frequency vibration that we can now attune to more, because we've gotten rid of the old stuff that is holding us to this matrix and to the old ways of believing and our understanding of the world. We are being asked to be open to new ideas and new perspectives. There is a breakthrough in new ideas, and to have the courage to say what you see, of course, because words are magic and words create. This full moon is also trine Saturn, and Saturn is so much about manifestation. So there is the potential to manifest in the field. Manifestation is possible, and when we are open to new perspectives, that there is a new reality that is emerging. Okay, but now it's also square Neptune. And when Neptune puts a fog on everything, Neptune is a really beautiful energy, but it's really challenging to navigate in a 3D world because it's really not a 3D kind of an energy. It's more the realm of the invisible and the cosmos. Okay, and so it puts a fog on everything because Saturn is very much our 3D reality, and as we know, they've been having this Saturn Uranus square, and so our understanding of 3D reality has been shaken to the core because this new this perspective that is more in alignment with what is cosmic truth is what is coming in. And so we're but the challenge is to that Neptune, it's the planet of illusion and delusion, and there is the potential to believe what we want to believe. It takes courage to search for the truth and not rely on our old comfortable beliefs. And it is hard to know what is true and what is not true. Okay, when Neptune is around, it really is, and so I wanted to share this really interesting piece, and that is that every year the Merriam-Webster dictionary has a word for the year, and the word for the year for 2022 is gaslighting. And, Mars and Neptune have been traveling together for the last several months. And when those two are together, and Neptune is still square this new moon, even though it's moving out of range, but it's still there, and that we know that gaslighting is going on in our field. It's the act or practice of grossly misleading someone, especially for one's own advantage. And this can be done on a personal level, but we're really seeing it on a collective level. And a classic gaslighting technique is telling victims that others are crazy and lying, and that the gaslighter is the only source for true information. It makes victims question their reality. We know that is going on right now. There is mind control happening. Uh, and so it's so important to question everything, especially what you hear from the government or the mainstream media. But well, let's just keep going on this, and then I'll talk about something else. But first, this is also the moon is conjunct what is the star called Rigel in Orion. And I've talked a little bit about, our galactic history, what I understand and know of it. Of course, it's immense, and I know just a little, or I feel like I may understand just a little of it. But they say that the Star Wars movies were based on the Orion Wars that went on for millions of years. And we know in watching that movie, the Jedi Masters, they all used mind control. And that is a big part of that what was going on in the psychic warfare was happening in the Orion Wars. And, we are living in the echoes of the Orion War before they made their ascension into higher frequency dimensions. And they did that through the integration of dark and light within. But it's so important for us to recognize what is happening in our field, that the true nature of both are happening, what is going on in our world, and as well as the true nature of reality. The illusion is shattering, and when we have the courage to see it, we know we can see it, but it's shattering in both ways. Like I said, what's going on in our world, but also what is the true nature of reality. And so, it's important to know that, Gemini is the twins. They are the light and dark within each of us, or we could call it the polarities, whatever is the opposites within ourselves. And so the goal is to have this integration of light and dark within, and the integration of the shadow material, because we will see it outside of ourselves until we see it within. It is about releasing the us versus them mentality. And when we question and release old beliefs, it allows for a new perspective, which is more aligned with what is actually true versus the illusion. When we change our perspective, our experience changes, and our experience is our reality. And understanding that our perception creates our experience, which is our reality. I guess I've just repeated myself there, but it's so important, because this is part of the new consciousness coming in. And it's not that really that is new consciousness, it's just new consciousness here on Mother Earth in our 3D reality. We're learning how to navigate these fields as we move into these higher frequency dimensions, and understanding that we are creating our world in every moment, and that there is only now. And it doesn't matter what happens, but how we respond based on our perception. Okay. Just for example, if we see the world full of blessings, if that is our perspective and our worldview, and we respond with gratitude, our world will be full of blessings. As they say, thank you, give me more. If we see danger, if we see the world as a very scary place, that's our worldview. That is what's going to show up in our world, because the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And it's just so important to recognize that, and that when we change our perspective is when our world changes. Now, as I just said, Neptune is involved here, and Neptune is showing us that the goal is unity consciousness. Okay. And Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is uh, also square Jupiter, and Jupiter is conjunct Neptune and Pisces. They're both in Pisces, and this is a very rare event. They were conjunct back, I believe that was in March. They had their exact conjunction, but they're Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, and this is an energy that helps us remember that we are all one, and it brings us into unity consciousness, out of this divisiveness. Once we do this integration of light and dark within ourselves, it allows us to enter into unity consciousness. And here's a good definition of unity consciousness. Unity consciousness puts us in contact with what is the same in us. As the egoic sense of self tends to separate and divide us into our differences, judgments, and opinions, unity consciousness brings a non-conceptual awareness that unites us in our essence of being. The perceived world out there can be seen as the world in here, and that there really is no difference between the inner world and the outer world. They are reflections of each other. They are one, as we are all one. Unity consciousness says that even though we are different, we all are still the same source. There are many that say the truth is we have never left source. It's not a return to source. We have never left source. It is waking up from the dream of the experience of separation. And that really is what unity consciousness is. And as I said, Jupiter and Pisces are traveling together. There's so much about unconditional love, and to remind us that we are never alone, that we are surrounded by love and support, and all we need to do is ask for help when we need it, and that we live in a field of infinite possibilities and miracles, and that the attitude of gratitude changes everything through the law of attraction. And just one more piece before I close, and that is right now, Jupiter is known as the great benefic. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and this usually the second brightest because usually Venus is the brightest. But right now, Jupiter is the closest to Earth that it will be in 49 years, and right now it is the brightest star in the sky. It looks like Venus, but Venus is never like high in the sky, whereas Jupiter will be in the sky all night, and you can't miss it. It's he's so bright right now. And Jupiter brings blessings and opportunities. He's known as the guardian angel of the zodiac. And it made me think of that song, When You Wish Upon a Star. And I feel like that's what this is saying. It's an opportunity to make a wish, to send a prayer, set an intention, and to know that your prayer has been heard. But the important thing to know is that the answer will come in surprising ways, and to hold a space for miracles, because one of the channels that I listen to says that, in that 3D reality is kind of an anomaly in our Milky Way galaxy and the way we live. That the most of the galaxy is in a much higher frequency, and that what we call miracles is how life actually works. It's their everyday life, and I believe that to be true. And so I invite you to go out and wish upon a star, know that miracles happen, and know that your prayer has been heard. All right. Well, have a wonderful full moon. I hope you enjoy it, and sending everyone many blessings. Namaste.